Charizard EX has massive HP, an explosive ability, and an attack that keeps getting stronger. In this video, I'll play 3 matches with my brand new Charizard Arceus Pidgeot deck on Pokemon TCG Live. Don't forget to subscribe for more Pokemon TCG content, and check out ways you can support my channel in the description. So the focus of the deck today, of course, is Charizard EX. The Infernal Rain ability can accelerate up to 3 fire energy from your deck onto your Pokemon in any way you like when you evolve Charizard EX, and the Burning Darkness attack does 180 plus 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken for only 2 fire energy. For the most part, we'll be attacking with Charizard EX and also Arceus VSTAR, which has Trinity Nova that'll be dealing 200 damage or 180 damage if it has a double turbo energy attached. This deck is built to be aggressive and consistent. Between Arceus VSTAR's Starbirth ability and also the brand new Pidgeot EX's Quick Search ability, we're going to be able to find all of the cards that we need most of the time. Additionally, we have a Manaphy here for the Wave Veil ability to protect our bench. And we also have Radiant Charizard as one final attacking option for the deck. We have 8 fire energy and 2 double turbo energy. I think this will be just enough. And we kept the trainers pretty simple. 4 Iono and 4 research because I want to draw a lot of cards. Even though we do have the searching abilities from Arceus and Pidgeot, a lot of card draw is a good thing to have when you're going for a smooth, consistent deck. Additionally, for supporters, I have 3 Boss's Orders. Like I said, we want to be aggressive, and there's nothing more aggressive than choosing the specific Pokemon you're attacking, or even better, knocking out. We have some Ball Search cards, Nest Ball and Ultra Ball, so we can find the Pokemon that we want, in addition to Artazon, which doubles as a stadium card that we're going to need if our opponent plays a Path to the Peak down, and we're going to want to remove that. So 3 Artazon for both Pokemon Search and removing pesky stadiums like Path to the Peak and Lost City that our opponents may play. The full deck list will be exported in the description down below in case you want to try it out for yourself. Now let's bring the heat with Charizard EX. Starting game 1, I have an Arceus V in the active and a Nest Ball and an Ultra Ball in my hand, which is really good because I'm going to want to have an Arceus V, a Charmander, and a Pidgey all on the board for turn 1. Now, I don't think there's any risk of my opponent knocking out any of my Pokemon this turn, but I also need to save that Ultra Ball and the other cards in my hand anyway, so there wasn't really much else to do other than set up my Charmander and Pidgey. So we're playing against a Iono PAL EX Baxcalibur deck, and the water typing isn't scary because Charizard EX is Terra type shifted to Darkness type and is weak to grass, not water, so we'll be fine in that regard. I top deck an Iono, and that's exactly why I didn't attach energy on turn 1, so that I could discard that energy with Ultra Ball. Now I can Ultra Ball for Arceus VSTAR and play Iono. Off of the Iono, I do get a Charizard EX, and I also have Ultra Ball, so I could Starbirth for double Rare Candy here, and then Ultra Ball for Pidgeot, and this is going to be an incredibly strong setup. So yeah, we'll Ultra Ball away the Nest Ball and the Arceus VSTAR, and grab Pidgeot EX with the Quick Search ability, and that allows us to just search our deck for any card we want once a turn. We'll also Rare Candy down the Charizard EX with the Infernal Rain ability, and we'll accelerate all 3 of those fire energies from the deck to the active Arceus VSTAR. Now, Arceus VSTAR's Trinity Nova attack is not all that special in this deck. We're never going to be, or we're usually not going to be accelerating any energy from the deck with it since it can only attach to V Pokemon, but it does 200 damage, and Arceus VSTAR already served its purpose with Starbirth, so we don't mind having that out in the active. And with all basic energies attached, it does 200, which is actually a little bit more than Charizard EX will deal at the beginning of the game, since it scales as the opponent takes prize cards. The opponent plays down a Lumineon V to search out an Irida, and Irida will likely be getting, yeah, there we go, Rare Candy and Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur is really essential to their deck. It allows them to accelerate a bunch of energy onto the board, and we'll have to see if they can get the knockout on Arceus VSTAR. It won't really be a big deal if they can, because we do have Pidgeot EX to search out the Rare Candy guaranteed for another Charizard EX to accelerate more energy, and they play an Escape Rope. I will send out Pidgeot EX because it has free retreat, and if they knock out Pidgeot EX, that means they didn't knock out Arceus or Charizard, so I'd kind of be fine with that. Another option was to send out the Charmander, but I figured Pidgeot EX has free retreat. If they were going to be able to knock out the Arceus VSTAR, I think they wouldn't have played the Escape Rope and just KO'd it. So I assumed they didn't have that 5th energy they would need to knock out either Pidgeot or Arceus, and it looks like I was correct. So here, I think the play will be to boss and knock out their Baxcalibur. It's really easy to find bosses with this deck when you need it because we have the quick search Pidgeot EX. So as long as the opponent is not playing anything like Path to the Peak to shut that off, we have access to whatever cards we need one at a time every turn. And Trinity Nova does more than enough to take the knockout on that Baxcalibur. And like I said, that's the way they accelerate all their energy. So now they're going to have to find another Rare Candy and another Baxcalibur because they do have that Frigibax on board if they want to be accelerating even more energy later on. They'll go ahead and search out 2 waters with Chi and Pal's ability and do 300 damage with Hail Blade. Now, I send up Pidgeot EX here again, of course, because it has free retreat. And if I were to have top decked a Rare Candy, that would have been beautiful, because then I could Rare Candy down a Charizard, get energy onto the board, and then quick search for boss to knock out their Frigibax. But I did not get the candy or the boss off the top, so just have to go quick search for the candy and play research for turn. And don't get me wrong, this is still a very strong turn. I'll be knocking out Chi and Pal. It would have just probably closed up the game if I knocked out the Frigibax this turn. So we'll take 2 more prizes, and this game looks completely in my control. They send out Lumineon. Remember, they don't have a Baxcalibur, so they're going to have to establish that Baxcalibur if they want any hope of staying in this game. But even if they were to do that, I have a Radiant Charizard on the bench already with a Fire Energy that can knock out their Chi and Pal. So they bossed up Charizard EX. They send out Chi and Pal. They're going to search out some Water Energy, and unfortunate for them, it's just a pass, and I can use Pidgeot to either Rare Candy down another Charizard, or find a switching out, or a double Turbo Energy to retreat. So I think here I'm just going to go for, I guess, the fancy play of Rare Candy down a 3rd Charizard EX, using all 4 Rare Candies this game. Super Rod those energies in beforehand just to make sure we have some energy in the deck, and then we're going to accelerate those energies to the active. The opponent knows what's going to happen, and they concede. On to game 2. I have an Arceus V start again, and the opponent opens with a Manaphy, a Fire Energy, and Artazon, so it looks like we'll have some sort of mirror match here, since they have Artazon, Fire Energy, and Manaphy, all cards that I have in my deck as well. A card that I don't have in my deck, however, is Mew. So they're going to retreat into Mew and find a Nest Ball. I imagine they were probably looking for a Battle VIP pass with that Mew. Nest Ball for the Arceus. Unfortunately, they do not get a Charmander down. They did go first, however, so a little bit of an advantage with going first, but a disadvantage because they didn't find a Charmander on turn 1. So here with Artazon, I'm just going to check my deck real quick, see if anything important got prized at this game. Artazon for a Charmander, and then Nest Ball for a Pidgey, getting down my preferred start here with an Arceus in the active, and then a Charmander and a Pidgey on the bench, and I even have Ultra Ball for next turn to get the Arceus V-Star. Then I'll go ahead and Trinity Charge 1 energy to Arceus V, since I started with a double turbo in hand. Why not? Now this start could actually be kind of poor. if my opponent had gotten down a Charmander last turn, because then they could actually knock out my Arceus V and I might be in trouble. But because I already know what their start looked like, I didn't get a second Arceus V. If they had the Charmander down, I probably would have gotten an Arceus V instead of the Pidgey. But that was not the case, so we are good to go here. And there's no threat of them knocking anything out this turn because they can't get a Charizard into play, and that's the way they accelerate energy. They will get a Pidgey down. They have one Charmander and then a pass. That leaves them open to me bossing up their Charmander, and that's exactly what I'm going to try to do here. So we'll Ultra Ball for Arceus V-Star and get this board going with Starbirth to search out some rare candies. I have a Pidgeot EX in hand, so that's really good. And it's going to be a rare candy and a Charmeleon from the Starbirth. So we'll go ahead and rare candy down that Pidgeot EX. Evolve the Charmander into Charmeleon. Artazon for another Charmander, and then Quick Search is going to grab the boss's orders because all I want to do right now is knock out their lone Charmander. So Trinity Nova 180 knocks out the Charmander with plenty of excess damage. No need to accelerate any energy to the board because Trinity Nova can only attach to V Pokemon, and Arceus V-Star obviously already has the energy it needs. The opponent is going to go and rare candy down a Pidgeot EX, Artazon for another Charmander, and if they don't already have a Charmander in hand, I imagine they would go Quick Search for another Charmander. There it is. So now, and with Manaphy protecting their bench, even if I was playing something like Delphox V that can attack multiple Pokemon at once, they'd be pretty protected, and they should have a guaranteed at least one Charmander in play for their next turn. I think it'll be pretty strong if I just boss's orders and knock out another Charmander here, and I'm also going to protect myself from a possibility of them having Delphox V. So we'll get that Manaphy on the board, get another Charmander on the board, and now I'm just thinking about my Quick Search ability, what I really want to do with that. And if I want to attach any of these energies from hand are a little less important with this deck because Charizard is just accelerating them so freely from the deck. But I will attach one to Charmeleon and then use Quick Search to grab boss's orders, and we'll take out another Charmander, going down to 4 prizes to my opponent's 6. They promote Charmander, and I imagine we're going to see my opponent's first Charizard EX of the game this turn. They're also going to go ahead and Artazon another Charmander down, rare candy into Charizard EX, and activate the Infernal Rain ability upon evolution. Go ahead and search the deck for 3 fire energies, go 1 to Arceus, 2 to the active. That makes perfect sense. Now they're swinging 240 damage with the Burning Darkness attack into my Arceus V-Star. Unless they boss's orders. So they're going to boss up my Charmeleon, try to take that same strategy that I was using of bringing up their Charmanders and KOing them, except I have a much more stable board than they do. That was a really good top deck. We got Iono off the top, and I also already had Super Rod in my hand, so we can put back Charmander, Charmeleon, and a Fire Energy. And then attach maybe, or I could just Iono these energies back into my deck. But first I'm going to Quick Search. And with Quick Search, I'm actually going to decide to get Professor's Research instead of using Iono because I want to see more cards this turn. And the worst case scenario is I just retreat and attack with Arceus. There's really nothing wrong with that because a Charizard EX isn't going to knock out a Charizard EX at this point in the game anyway. So attacking with Arceus V-Star worst case scenario is completely fine, but I do find the pieces to get a Charizard EX down this turn, and I have plenty of energy on the board now with 2 on a Charizard, 2 on a Charmeleon, or 2 on a Charmander, my bad, and then of course the Fire and Double Turbo on Arceus V-Star. I'm going to retreat into Charizard EX because I know that there's no possible way for them to knock out a Charizard EX while I'm still at 4 prizes. Their attack just is not doing enough damage. So I'm going to go ahead and attack in with that, damaging their Charizard EX for 210. They establish another Charizard EX, and we're just getting into a Charizard EX battle here. Who can establish the most Charizards and who can do the most damage the fastest. I do have the lead on prize cards, so I'm kind of in the driver's seat for that reason. I top deck a Rare Candy. That can always be nice to get another Charizard down. We can start with Pidgeot Quick Search here, and I also have a Judge in my hand. So I have to also be aware of using boss's orders. We want to make sure that I have them later on as well if I need them. So we'll just go ahead and Pidgeot out the Charizard EX, attach some energy, and Judge. So we did that quick search prior to the Judge since I already had the Rare Candy in hand. I wanted to make use of it there. And we did Super Rod that Charmeleon back into the deck earlier, so I can go ahead and grab that with Ultra Ball. And the thing about this deck is my hands are kind of looking pretty bad. Like, I ended this turn with just one Arceus V, but as long as I'm not playing against a deck that plays Path to the Peak or another way to shut down my Pidgeot EX's abilities, I'm always free to go search for any one card that I need each turn. So these hands that look kind of poor are really just fine because I can quick search for a Professor's Research or a Boss's Orders or whatever it is that I might need on my next turn. Now, they have the Vengeful Punch tool on their Charizard EX, but I don't think that math will end up mattering. It does 4 damage counters if I knock it out with damage. That's good against Gardevoir decks because they damage their own Pokemon before attacking you. It could be good in some other scenarios depending on the math and the HP of your opponent's Pokemon, but I don't think it'll matter here too much. We're going to send up Pidgeot EX and start things off with a quick search. They have a 6-card hand, and I don't really need anything this turn, so I'll just go grab Iono to put their cards to the bottom of the deck. And of course, that probably won't mess with them too much because they also have Pidgeot EX. I'm going to decide to save my Charizard EX for later. Let's not go up and put it out in the line of fire for any reason. We'll just clean up this KO with Arceus VSTAR, and of course it does take the 40 damage, like I said, from the Vengeful Punch tool card. They're going to opt to send up Arceus VSTAR. That makes sense. Their Charizard's damaged pretty badly. They could always just send up Pidgeot EX because it has free retreat, but if they're 100% sure of Arceus VSTAR being the attacker this turn, I suppose this is fine as well. They activate the quick search ability. Looks like it was for fire energy. And then Trinity Nova, which does not knock out the Arceus VSTAR. That's unfortunate. If they put out the Charizard EX, they would have lost, but I have boss's orders, so we will be winning this game anyway, with Trinity Nova to end things. The last prize cards taken on that Charizard EX. Into game 3, I'm going first with a Pidgey start, and we have a Charmander in hand and also a Nest Ball, so we can go ahead and get that Arceus V down, and I can also get a second Charmander down, and I have Ultra Ball and Rare Candy in my hand. I have Double Turbo. We'll just go ahead and slap that onto the Arceus, because I'll be pretty fine with discarding anything I draw off the top, unless it's like a Pidgeot, which I'll just Rare Candy down. So this hand is beautiful if it doesn't get judged or Iono'd away, and I don't expect that to happen because it is only a 3-card hand, so the opponent probably doesn't want to give us more cards. It looks like we're playing against a version with V Pokemon like Entei and probably Delphox, and I'd imagine they're also going to be playing Farseal Stone in here, all in place of the Arceus VSTAR line that I have in my version of the deck. They're just going to go Heat Tackle, but they have a very nice setup. 3 Charmanders, 2 Pidgeys, and an Entei V. They're looking good here. Now, I top deck boss's orders, but we're going to just get rid of that with Ultra Ball. Discarding Artazon and boss's orders for Pidgeot EX. I have Rare Candy in hand, so we can slap that down. Use Quick Search for either a Professor's Research or an Arceus VSTAR, but I'm going to go with Professor's Research because I want more cards. I don't want to just get Arceus VSTAR because I could just get that with an Ultra Ball or just drawing into the Arceus VSTAR like I did. And then Starbirth here will go ahead and get a Charizard EX established. deciding what else I might need here. It's pretty tricky because there's really not much, but we can go ahead and grab the Manaphy. Like I said, they're probably playing Delphox V. We see that they're playing Entei and no Arceus, so safe to assume the Delphox V could come out, and Manaphy will protect us from the bench damage that that card can do. Of course, Pidgeot EX has free retreat, so we can just retreat right into Arceus VSTAR. No reason to put Charizard EX into the line of fire. Trinity Nova knock out their Charmander. Onto the opponent's next turn, they promoted Pidgey, and now they have Ultra Ball, so they're going to be trying to get some things set up here. Probably Rare Candy a Pidgeot EX down that can search them for any cards they need. Maybe they're just going to go right into a Charizard EX. We'll find out here in a second. There's a Charizard EX off the Ultra Ball, and they're going to Lumineon V, use Luminous Sign to go and search for an Arven. Arven's a cool supporter card in this version of the deck since they play Forest Seal Stone, so they can go search for Forest Seal Stone plus a Rare Candy. That's exactly what they'll do, and they can start Rare Candying down their Pokemon. So Forest Seal Stone goes to the Entei V, and then they'll Rare Candy down Charizard EX. They actually could have Forest Seal Stoned for Pidgeot EX and Rare Candy did that down, and then quick search for Rare Candy, and then Rare Candy down the Charizard EX. And they would have the same exact board state, except they'd also have a Pidgeot EX on the board. So that was a misplay, since we already know that they had the Charizard EX in hand. They could have just had a bonus Pidgeot EX on the board as well. So they swing 210 into the Arceus VSTAR, and I'm just in the lead here. I took the first prize card. My board is established better. I have a Pidgeot EX down. They've already used their Forest Seal Stone. They don't have a Pidgeot, no Bibarel, no nothing like that that can help them find more cards when they need it. And we'll just start taking prize cards as aggressively as possible here with the boss's orders on the Lumineon V and knock it out with Trinity Nova. And off of that, I grab a Charizard EX out of the prizes. That's really good. They'll be able to knock out our Arceus VSTAR pretty easily here. And something to be wary of is I'm at odd prize cards, and so if I knock out another 2 prize Pokemon, that means that my Charizard EX will be in range of a knockout from their Charizard EX based on the amount of prize cards I've taken. But I do have 1 boss left in the deck, and I also have an Escape Rope in the deck, and that Escape Rope will likely serve as a pseudo boss's orders for me when I need it. So we'll go quick search for the boss's orders. That's the last one I have available. Bring up the Entei V and also Rare Candy down another Charizard EX. This deck is just firing on all cylinders, and we'll be able to take another 2 prize KO with Burning Darkness on the Entei V for 240 damage. Grabbing Pidgey and Radiant Charizard off the prizes. And now, because of my Escape Rope, the only thing they could do to not lose the game next turn is if they have a way to shut off my Pidgeot EX's abilities and shuffle this Escape Rope out of my hand, which they are going to do neither of those. And as I mentioned previously, this Escape Rope will just end up being a boss's orders essentially, because I can knock out any of their bench Pokemon here with Escape Rope into Burning Darkness. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Deck list is in the description down below. Remember to subscribe for more Pokemon TCG content, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.